Hey everybody, this is Brian Martin, Southern California News Group. We are here to talk about last week's lunacy in Las Vegas, International Fight Week. The man behind the camera, Hans Gutnick, he and I got into Las Vegas a week ago today on Wednesday. That night, everything gets turned upside down. John Jones, Daniel Cormier, their light heavyweight title fight is off. Jones fails a drug test in violation of the anti-doping policy. Now what? So the next morning, Jones has a press conference. It was intense. It was emotional. It was a little bit awkward at times. Later that night, UFC Fight Night 90, Eddie Alvarez, first round knockout of Dos Anjos to win the lightweight championship. Very impressive performance. A long time coming for Eddie Alvarez. You got to feel good for him. And I think he's going to breathe some life into that 155-pound division. Then that night, we also find out Anderson Silva to the rescue. He's going to step in and fight Daniel Cormier. Anderson Silva, a natural middleweight who has fought at 205 pounds a couple times and won a couple fights there, but 7 weeks removed from gallbladder surgery, virtually a day or two of training, and he's going to step in against the light heavyweight champion. What a stud. So the next night, we have the Ultimate Fighter finale. First off, Do Ho Choi. This kid looks like he should be bagging your groceries, not starching Thiago Tavares in the first round. Precision, charisma, he's got it all. International flair, being from South Korea. This kid is really, really something to watch. Also that night, Tatiana Suarez wins the strawweight final for the Ultimate Fighter. Very impressive performance by her. Wins by Darce choke, the first woman to ever win by Darce choke in the UFC, and beats Amanda Cooper in the first round. What a story. 2011, she is destined for the 2012 Olympics in London. She is the #1 55-kilogram freestyle wrestler for the United States. She ends up, they find thyroid cancer. She has to have her thyroid removed, bunch of nodes removed. Just dream shattered. Really, really impressed with what she does, though. She gets into jiu-jitsu. She gets into MMA. She works out at Millennia MMA in Rancho Cucamonga. And now here she is, the Ultimate Fighter Season 23 strawweight winner. But of all the strawweights, Joanna Jędrzejczyk, what more can you say about her? Fighting against #1 contender Claudia Gadelha. Gadelha, the first 2 rounds, really took it to Jędrzejczyk. Took her down, kind of had her befuddled. Third round, everything kind of turned around. Jędrzejczyk started really using her length, her striking, her quickness, her precision. And the 4th, 5th rounds, those championship rounds, that's where Joanna Champion shows up. Her cardio was off the charts. Gadelha, you could see her slowing down. And those rounds really, really separated the two. Unanimous decision victory. She's going to be the champ for a while, I think, folks. The next night, UFC 200 at T-Mobile Arena. By the way, very impressive arena. And speaking of impressive, how about that start on UFC Fight Pass? 3 first-round finishes. Jim Miller, Gegard Mousasi, Joe Lauzon. What a way to start the card. So then we go over to Sage Northcutt. Kid comes out, gets the unanimous decision victory over Marine. And, you know, he's 20 years old, so give the kid some slack. He's going to improve. However, we do need to pump the brakes a little on that hype train, don't we? So that card started actually on Fox Sports West 2 because the Indians and Yankees had the audacity to go to extra innings on Fox Sports 1. And the first 32 minutes were on Fox Sports 2, and they had 582,000 viewers. That is a record for Fox Sports 2. That tells you something about the UFC. The next fight was TJ Dillashaw getting unanimous decision victory over Asuncao. Very impressive win for TJ. But not so impressive is the fact that TJ was paid $25,000 to walk into the octagon and $25,000 once he got his hand raised. This guy, just a little over 6 months ago, was the UFC bantamweight champion. And now he's getting paid $25,000 to walk into the octagon. The only person who got paid less than TJ Dillashaw that night was the guy Sage Northcutt beat. Sage Northcutt got paid twice as much as TJ Dillashaw that night. It doesn't sit right with me. The next fight was Kelvin Gastelum getting unanimous decision victory over Johnny Hendricks. Good win for Gastelum. Not so good weekend for Johnny Hendricks. You know, 2 years ago, this guy is on top of the world. He has beaten Robbie Lawler. He is the UFC welterweight champion. Since then, he's lost 3 of 4, struggling to make weight. The day before UFC 200, he is on the scales, literally shaking with such a difficult weight cut. He missed weight. He got fined $20,000. You got to think $20,000 would have bought you a good nutritionist and then some. And he did not look that great in the fight. Just looks like a different fighter in there. Hope he can turn it around. The next fight, Juliana Pena defeating Kat Zingano, and really kind of staking a claim to being a legitimate contender for the UFC Women's Bantamweight Championship. First round, Zingano got the better of her, but the next 2 rounds, Pena really took it to the ground and did a number on Zingano. And a really impressive win for Pena. She feels like she deserves a title shot. We'll see about that. We think, hey, Holly Holm's fighting July 23rd against Shevchenko in Chicago. They're pretty much on the same flight path here. So why not Pena versus Holm? The winner gets a title shot. Sounds good to us. Makes sense. On to the main card. Cain Velasquez. Wow. Picked apart Travis Brown. Very impressive performance. Looked fantastic in there. We think he's definitely in line for a title shot very soon. Could be a 3-time heavyweight champion. The next fight was Jose Aldo against Frankie Edgar. If you had told people this fight was going to go 5 rounds, I bet a lot of people would have put their money on Frankie Edgar. Jose Aldo looked fantastic. I think a lot of people forget, this guy was featherweight champion for a long time. He hadn't lost in 10 years until that 13-second knockout against Conor McGregor. But he did a number on Frankie Edgar. And if McGregor comes back down to defend that 145-pound title like he says he's going to, I like Aldo's chances there. He looked fantastic. The other fight of the night, Cormier versus Silva. What more can you say about Anderson Silva? This guy goes in there and goes the distance against Daniel Cormier. That right there, the fact that he's going in there 7 weeks after gallbladder surgery, just a day or two of training and giving up probably 30 pounds in the octagon, and he goes the distance, that right there, ladies and gentlemen, there's your performance of the night. Give him all the bonus money, give him all the accolades and all the respect. Everybody else, get in line. That was incredible. And if there's such thing as a moral victory, that was it. Cormier looked very good. You know, he fought to his strength. When he was on his feet, Silva was getting the better of it. Cormier took him down, and Silva didn't have much answer for it when it went to the ground. Good win for Cormier. We would have loved to have seen Cormier versus John Jones, but Cormier did a nice job in there. Of course, when he took Anderson Silva down, the fans were so upset and they booed. The next fight, Brock Lesnar versus Mark Hunt, when Brock Lesnar took Mark Hunt down, how the fans cheered. You got to love MMA fans, right? Lesnar looked great in there. Wanted nothing to do with Mark Hunt and that dangerous right hand. Then again, who would? But Lesnar looked fantastic. Hunt had no answer for him on the mat, and Lesnar a couple times was teeing off pretty good, and it looked like he was close to ending the fight. We look forward to him getting back in the octagon once he's done with his WWE responsibilities. And the main event for UFC 200, Miesha Tate defending her title for the first time since winning it from Holly Holm. And defending against number 4, Amanda Nunes. Everybody knew Nunes was a very fast starter, and everybody knew Miesha is a patient fighter. Witness that 5th round rear naked choke against Holly Holm, where she had just a minute or two to spare. Being patient is one thing. Being patient and trading with Amanda Nunes is another. And after about a minute of that fight, you could see in Miesha Tate's face, she was in trouble. Not only was she getting hit early and often, she was getting hurt. And eventually, Nunes dropped her against one cage. They go to the other side. She drops her there, goes down, sinks in the rear naked choke. Incredible victory. The first openly gay UFC champion. And think about this. This will tell you something about Amanda Nunes. Miesha Tate, after nearly 5 rounds against Holly Holm, her face looked practically pristine, like she hadn't even been touched. After 3 minutes against Amanda Nunes, her face was a bloody mess, her nose busted, and credit to Miesha, she showed up at the press conference afterward holding a towel over her face. Her nose, you couldn't see much of it, but it looked really big, but she answered all the questions. Props to her. Some fighters wouldn't have shown up, some fighters haven't shown up, but she did. We look forward to seeing her in there again. But as for Amanda Nunes, who's next for her? Could it be Pena? Could it be Holm? Could it be Ronda Rousey if she comes back from the minor knee surgery? Dana White says Ronda gets, whenever she comes back, she's fighting the champion. She and Nunes would be great. She and Pena, she and Holm, any of those fights sound good. The women's bantamweight division suddenly has a new champion. For the fourth time, there is a champion in the UFC women's bantamweight division since what, November? So after years of dominance with one champion, you've had 4 different champions. So that's about it from UFC 200. Oh yeah, and the next day, the UFC sold for $4 billion. What are you going to do? But that's it for now. We're going to do these whenever we can, every once in a while. The man behind the camera, Hans Gutnicht, and I. Follow him at Hans Gutnicht on Twitter and on Instagram. He does amazing work. His photos are top quality. I'm Brian Martin at the B Martin on Twitter. Give me a follow, and we'll try to do these every once in a while. Thanks for tuning in.